Welcome to episode 99, Managing Auditors, Regulators, and Customers, where we explore the delicate art of balancing compliance assurance with relationship management. In every mature HITRUST program, governance extends beyond internal controls. It includes how the organization interacts with external reviewers and stakeholders who test, verify, or depend on those controls. Auditors want evidence that proves reliability, regulators seek assurance of compliance with law, and customers expect transparency and confidence in shared risk. Each group views the same system through different lenses, and how those interactions are managed often determines the tone of the entire engagement. Effective coordination builds trust, protects credibility, and converts scrutiny into collaboration. The stakeholder landscape defines the communication challenge. Auditors focus on evidence sufficiency and control design. Regulators emphasize statutory compliance, and customers evaluate contractual assurances and trust posture. Internally, executives and board members also rely on these interactions to gauge program maturity. Understanding each stakeholder's motivation helps tailor both content and tone. For instance, an auditor's request for detail should receive precision and traceability, while a customer's inquiry deserves clear business context. Mapping these relationships into a stakeholder matrix clarifies who needs what information, when, and in what form. Successful organizations recognize that external assurance is not a one-directional test, but a recurring partnership built on clarity, consistency, and respect. A single communication channel prevents confusion and protects record integrity. Establishing a central contact point, often a compliance manager or audit liaison, ensures that all questions, submissions, and clarifications flow through one controlled path. Without this structure, parallel conversations fragment messaging and create version mismatches. For example, if auditors email system owners directly, updates can bypass governance review, causing inconsistencies in evidence. Using a centralized portal or ticketing system preserves traceability and enforces accountability for responses. The rule is simple: one question, one answer, one record. This disciplined communication model demonstrates control maturity and professionalism, reassuring stakeholders that the organization manages information with precision equal to its security systems. Clarification requests deserve a formal triage process. Auditors and regulators often send broad or ambiguous queries, and unfiltered responses can create contradictions or overexposure. A triage step ensures that each question is interpreted, validated, and answered with consistent framing. For example, compliance staff may review whether a request refers to policy intent or technical evidence before assigning it to subject matter experts. Categorizing inquiries by urgency, complexity, and sensitivity keeps workloads balanced. Triage also allows the team to consolidate duplicate requests or escalate unclear ones before responding. Structured triage transforms reactive Q&A into managed correspondence, preserving control over the narrative and reducing the risk of inconsistent messaging. Document control and version locking safeguard the integrity of shared evidence. Once a file leaves internal systems, it becomes part of the audit record. Inconsistencies later can jeopardize credibility. All materials, policies, screenshots, reports should carry version numbers, dates, and approval identifiers. Access should be limited to authorized personnel, and updates must follow change management. For instance, a new incident response plan revision should not replace the version originally submitted during assessment. Maintaining a locked evidence library with read-only archives ensures that every artifact remains auditable. Under HITRUST and other frameworks, documentation discipline is as critical as technical controls. It proves that the organization treats information governance as part of its security posture. Scope changes and approvals require formal governance, not ad hoc agreements. During assessments, new systems, acquisitions, or services may emerge, tempting stakeholders to expand or reduce scope midstream. Each change must be evaluated for impact, documented, and approved through proper channels. For example, adding a new cloud environment might alter inheritance relationships, evidence requirements, or sampling criteria. A written change control process, including assessor concurrence and leadership sign-off, prevents disputes later. Unmanaged scope adjustments can delay certification or create confusion about what was actually validated. Formal approvals show regulators and customers that modifications are deliberate, justified, and transparently managed under mature governance practices. Sensitive data handling guidelines protect confidentiality during evidence exchange. Audit materials often include logs, configurations, or screenshots containing PHI, credentials, or other restricted information. Organizations must sanitize, mask, or redact these elements before submission while preserving evidentiary value. Secure transmission methods, encrypted portals, or dedicated file shares are mandatory. For example, using unencrypted email for evidence transfer could constitute a reportable event. Clear labeling and metadata help prevent accidental disclosure. Regulators and auditors appreciate careful handling as proof of internal control strength. Every piece of evidence is both a validation artifact and a trust test. Its security treatment reflects the organization's true operational discipline. Independence and conflict of interest considerations protect objectivity in multi-stakeholder environments. Assessors must maintain impartiality, while internal compliance staff must avoid influencing findings. Similarly, regulators and customers require assurance that evidence is presented without bias. Separation of duties ensures that the team preparing evidence is not the same team validating its effectiveness. For example, an internal security engineer can collect logs, but the compliance officer confirms accuracy before submission. When customers request direct validation, communication should remain transparent and balanced, avoiding the perception of selective disclosure. Maintaining ethical distance preserves credibility, proving that the organization's assurance process is as trustworthy as its control environment. Negotiating timelines and evidence windows requires both firmness and flexibility. Auditors and regulators operate under their own schedules, but organizations can propose realistic deadlines that align with internal cycles. Clear negotiation prevents burnout and quality lapses. For instance, a HITRUST R2 evidence window may cover a 12-month period. Compressing review into a few weeks can compromise accuracy. Early communication allows mutual adjustment of milestones. When delays occur, document reasons and updated timelines formally. Respectful negotiation fosters mutual respect, demonstrating commitment to thoroughness without defensiveness. Time management is a sign of maturity. It shows that the organization values quality assurance over hurried completion. Escalation paths and decision rights define how disagreements or blockers resolve. During high-stakes assessments, disputes about evidence interpretation or control applicability can arise. A clear escalation ladder, from compliance lead to program sponsor to executive management, ensures prompt, fair decisions. For example, if an auditor questions policy adequacy, the compliance manager may clarify. If conflict persists, leadership intervenes. This structure prevents impasse and ensures that critical issues do not stall progress. Documenting escalation outcomes adds transparency and lessons learned. Decision rights also outline who can commit to remediation timelines or negotiate scope adjustments. A well-defined governance hierarchy turns potential conflict into constructive dialogue. Commitment tracking and follow-through convert promises into performance. Every meeting generates actions, remediation tasks, document updates, or clarification responses. A centralized tracker with status, owner, and due date keeps accountability visible. Missing commitments erode credibility faster than weak controls. For instance, promising a policy update by quarter's end and failing to deliver signals unreliability. Regularly updating the tracker and sharing progress builds stakeholder confidence. Commitment discipline reflects maturity. Organizations that keep their word, document completions, and close loops on schedule create reputational equity that endures beyond any single assessment cycle. Post-review updates and corrections close the assurance loop. After audits or regulatory reviews, feedback must translate into tangible improvements. Correction letters, updated evidence repositories, and revised procedures ensure lessons become lasting enhancements. For example, if auditors note incomplete access reviews, implementing automated monitoring before the next cycle shows responsiveness. Sharing summary updates with customers or regulators reinforces transparency. Internal debriefs help teams refine coordination and communication for future assessments. Treating post-review updates as structured improvement, not damage control, converts external scrutiny into a driver of continuous growth. Relationship health and reputation management influence future assessments more than any single result. An organization that communicates openly, meets deadlines, and treats assessors respectfully earns goodwill that carries forward. Regulators remember professionalism. Auditors remember cooperation. Customers remember responsiveness. Small gestures, timely follow-ups, clear documentation, or appreciation notes build rapport. Conversely, defensive or evasive behavior can tarnish credibility. Reputation functions as a multiplier. A respected compliance team finds every future cycle easier because trust precedes verification. Managing relationships is not manipulation. It is stewardship of mutual confidence built through consistency and integrity. Continuous improvement across cycles transforms audit management from reaction to evolution. Each engagement generates insights about communication, evidence readiness, and stakeholder expectations. Capturing these lessons in post-cycle retrospectives institutionalizes progress. For example, adjusting document templates, refining request workflows, or training staff on auditor expectations all yield compounding benefits. Over time, audits shift from disruptive events to structured checkpoints in an ongoing governance rhythm. The R2 framework thrives on this philosophy. Assurance is never complete, it is perpetually maturing. Managing auditors, regulators, and customers with foresight and professionalism ensures that every cycle strengthens both compliance posture and organizational reputation, creating a legacy of trust earned through discipline and dialogue.